Can't see him. Strengthening the youth sector project interagency group, John Harrington.
Kia ora mai tātou. So I'm John Harrington and this is Penny Prescott from the Strengthening the Youth Sector project. I'd had asked other members of our group to come and speak with me, but I think they must have thought this process was too intimidating. I have no idea why they thought that.
We're very friendly and we don't bite.
This Strengthening the Youth Sector project has been running for 3 years, and it has a steering group and an interagency group, and I project manage the project. It's the interagency group consists of 8 government organisations, 3 local authorities and key stakeholders in the youth sector, and it has 5 work streams which are working on their own projects and goals.
It just takes a second.
The Strengthening the Youth Sector Interagency group recognises the very difficult task the Council has of having to reduce its deficit and having to make some challenging decisions. Our submission focuses on a simple vision for Christchurch for young people aged 12 to 25 years old and supports the Christchurch Youth Council's submission that you've already heard. The vision is that it's a place where young people will want to stay, and we think there's been lots of talk about young people being the future of our city. They need to be involved in the rebuild, they need to be involved in what's happening in their communities, but there has been little evidence of this, and I know that the council has engaged with the Christchurch Youth Council with an MOU, and I know that there was great attempts to engage young people and make submissions to the LTP as well. But we believe that this should be the responsibility, the council should be taking the responsibility to lead in empowering young people to engage in all aspects of civic life, and that youth engagement is embedded in council's practice, not just now but for the future.
No, this is the one.
Oh, okay. Right. With youth-friendly places and spaces, so in 2013 there was a youth wellbeing survey carried out through the Strengthening the Youth Sector project, which Sarah led, and we had a hui in 2013 as well, and the survey gave evidence to what came out of the hui that young people were saying there wasn't a lot of spaces and places for them post-earthquakes, and they wanted to see places and spaces created for them post-earthquake, which will obviously help them to want to stay here. So we believe that providing safe cycle ways is a huge part of creating a youth-friendly city, and we support the council's spending on providing safe cycling routes and prioritising road repairs so that young people can ride their cycles on all suburban roads and in the city. Youth housing, this is an issue that the council needs to seriously address, and it's been an issue in Christchurch and New Zealand for many years. The homeless and vulnerable young people are all citizens of Christchurch, and we suggest the council allocates funding for youth housing as a percentage of the social housing budget, and we've already submitted on that, and the social housing submissions came about. Council has an obligation to be promoting the social, economical, environmental and cultural well-being of communities in the present and in the future. Employment. Christchurch needs to be a city where there are career opportunities for young people, no matter of their school achievement, their socio-economical background and cultural background. And there needs to be a set budget for the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs. We believe it's a great way for our city to progress opportunities for young people to gain employment from high school, and particularly those young people who don't have school qualifications and low school achievement. Building the capacity of our youth sector. So youth organisations and services play a crucial role in supporting our young people and communities, and often they are working with some of the most vulnerable people in our city, and without them young people would not be supported in local communities as they are. We encourage the council, as it's promised, it won't be cutting funds through the strengthening of community funds this year, and we are grateful for that. Our request is that funding is increased over the next 10 years for strengthening communities and not reduced, and we believe the council should consider long-term funding at least 3 years, and this aligns with best youth development practice in supporting young people long-term and not the short-term. Assets and rates. We support an increase in rates and partial sale of some assets. We believe this generation should make some sacrifices for the next generation so they are left with as many assets as possible to make Christchurch the place they will stay and attract young people from other places to live here. Most generations have only thought of their needs when thinking about the future. My generation did this when we were the beneficiaries of free tertiary education, and then we decided after benefiting that we would allow the government of that day to make tertiary education user pay so we could be better off. By having our rates increased, it's going to make Christchurch a better place for the next generations, and what a legacy to leave. Thank you.
Right. Phil?
Thank you, John. I'm particularly interested in your comments about employment for young people. So you're really saying, because our understanding, of course, is that employment in Christchurch is at a high level or low unemployment level. So is your information, and in fact, there are some special areas, and I think you referred to young people with no qualifications who might benefit from a focus on employment task force.
There's two things. One is, you're right, Glenn, there is, oh, sorry. Sorry, Glenn's there. There are those young people who don't have NCA level 1 or 2, and they've really struggled to get jobs in the rebuild, but low school jobs because of that. Some of them may have drug and alcohol issues as well, and we think those young people, if there is ever an opportunity for them to get jobs, it's now, because there are low school jobs, and the jobs which are to do with the infrastructure of the horizontal and vertical infrastructure need low school jobs. So we think that's something the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs should look at. And also there is some misinformation given to young people about what jobs are available in Christchurch. For instance, I know that manufacturers need young people in work, but the schools are not being told that that's a need, and a lot of young people are leaving Christchurch to get jobs in other manufacturing jobs in other cities. So there's some career information that needs to be given. And I sit on Youth Futures, and that's an issue that we've been trying to address. So we are, and we're also, one other thing we're working on is supporting employers to be better employers of young people. Employers have asked for young people to have a passport which allows them, the employer, to see what skills a young person has, not just their work skills, but also their soft skills around their hobbies, what they're good at. We also believe that employers need to learn some skills on how to support young people in the workforce in their development. So that's something that we think the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs can work on as well.
Vicky, then Yanni.
Thank you for your comments about also how intimidating this process can be. If you were redesigning this process, what would you do?
I could maybe get a group of young people together and ask them that question as well, to make this entire process of the LTP submissions is an intimidating one. Yeah, although those documents are produced to try to make it easier, they were big documents in themselves, and the submission had to come in 2 parts. Now a computer could barely handle printing it out. So yeah, I don't know, it's such a big job. I wish I could give you an easy answer, but I would say young people would have some idea of how they could be better approached with that. I have heard people say they like share an idea. I know it's resource intensive, but if we could go out to the communities of young people and present some of this stuff to them in sort of a youth-friendly way in the areas where they are and in ways that make it real for them, it might be a good way to get them at least beginning to be engaged in this process and hopefully in the long run empowered in their city.
Yeah. Yanni.
Thank you for raising the concern about the lack of youth space in the central city. Something that's come through from the community as well, the lack of community space. Given that Sarah and CCDU are really doing a lot of the Inca projects, I just was interested whether you'd had any engagement over things like the bus interchange to make sure that it's got some youth space in there, or if not, is that something we need to pick up as a council?
So the project's been engaging with Don Miskell and Claire Edmondson from the building planning and design team for quite some time, and we're finally, after begging on their door, we're finally having some success in that the Youth Voice Canterbury, which is a collaboration of youth advocacy groups, youth councils, have managed to put in submissions to Victoria Square, and they have 2 young people from the Christchurch Youth Council who sit on the reference group for Victoria Square now, which has happened through those conversations. And we're hoping that's the start of having young people sitting on all the reference groups for each precinct, and Don's thinking that's what's going to happen. So that's a big positive step. As far as the bus exchange goes, young people did make, they filled out a survey, 2,000 young people. It was heard, but not everything that they suggested in that survey was taken on board, and some of the young people were quite disappointed about that. We've now said to Sarah that what we want to do, and to the council as well, we actually want to go and do a youth audit, a youth-friendly place and spaces audit on the bus exchange once it's up and running, to test whether it is a youth-friendly place for young people. So that's something that I'm sure will happen. So there is some progress, but it's still not. It's not just about the CBD. It's about young people in their communities as well, making sure places and spaces are available to young people in their own communities where they live, and in the city obviously as well. Because we want to make sure that young people stay in their own communities and don't have to come into town in the city for their entertainment and their things to do, leisure, etc.
Thank you very much. So thank you for putting the effort in, and thank you for suggestions about how we might improve process as well. I think we need to do a lot of work on that.
Thanks.
It's not really that. It's not that intimidating, but it is. It could be for young people, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think David Blowers hasn't arrived.